Hi everybody, John Monroe here for the Globalisation since 1945 MA level module. Welcome to our week on the Cold War. Cold day, so Cold War, here I am. So let me start by saying a little bit about pedagogy, because this is our first session together with me as the teacher, kind of on my own. So I've thought a lot about this, and I feel apprehensive about giving like a full lecture before the seminar, given that this is an MA level class. My thinking, so just to say a little bit about my pedagogy, and from my own experiences as an MA student many years ago, is that the MA seminar is, for me, it was often one of the most exciting things about my week. Reading the work, having some thoughts about it, developing some ideas, and bringing them into the class and sharing them with the other students. Meaning that the job of the professor in these classes, at least when I'm teaching them, will be more to give a very brief introduction to the work, let you decide where the conversation is going to go, and let's have the conversation in seminar follow the points, arguments, disagreements, and debates that you want to take up. And then afterwards, I'll do a fuller, taking up those points, I'll do a fuller sort of lecture video of a sort that will recap what we're doing and elaborate on the historiographical and political context of the points raised in seminar. So what I'm going to do in these so I'll do two videos then for each class. A very short introduction, just basically to say hello to the students in the seminar on campus, or if we do that online, which I'm hoping and imagining we will, as well as those distance learning students as well. I'll film them outside, which might be a little bit more fun, rather than me sitting at my laptop. And maybe for the distance learning students, this will give you a little glimpse of some areas of Birmingham that maybe if you live in another part of the world, you don't always get to see. So this is a little park that's not far from my flat in the Ladywood neighborhood of Birmingham. Okay, so that's how this will run. I'll give a short intro, say hello. We'll have the full conversation in which basically my opening question will be, what did you think? We'll take the conversation where it goes, and I feel like that's exciting. The last thing you need is me preempting the conversation with things that I want to talk about or setting the agenda too much. You'll do that, and then I'll pick it up from there afterwards. Okay, so I hope this will work. So then let me say just a few words to set up our readings for this week. So we've got Ned Richardson-Little's Human Rights Dictatorship and an essay by Thomas Fleischman, Animal Farms. So we're talking about the Cold War, and we're focusing on a state, the German Democratic Republic, which was itself a sort of creation of Cold War logics and only sort of existed during the Cold War itself. So this is what we'll be focusing on, but of course we're going to want to put this in a broader kind of context. And the two readings that we have already begin to do this. So we'll start with the Human Rights Dictatorship and move on to the essay Animal Farms in discussion. And so what I want to say here is just a few things about the, I guess, historiography or representations of the GDR. I mean, this connects up to some things we'll be doing in later weeks, but the GDR, it's such an interesting topic, the Berlin Wall being central to that, and has lent itself to representations in films. You may have seen The Lives of Others, Goodbye Lenin, and in other films about the GDR. In literature, let me think of, there's John le Carré's The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, is a major representation of the Berlin Wall, as is Fiona Rintoul's The Leipzig Affair, which is quite an interesting and fast-paced read. There is also Eugen Ruga's In Times of Fading Light, which is a book translated now into English, a German novel about East Germany, which is quite interesting and got quite a bit of attention in Germany itself. So film and literature, which are also themes that we're going to take up, in this module later on, are of course ways into the topic about the GDR. Historiographically, there has been some work on situating the GDR in a transnational context, and that's what Ned Richardson-Little's book is also doing. So we're going to want to think about that, maybe in reference to other books about the Berlin Wall. There's a more kind of tightly focused study. Patrick Major's Behind the Berlin Wall is one example of this that looks really in close detail at the construction of the wall, its history, and its fall. There's books more about the kind of East-West German divide. Edith Schaffer's Burned Bridge, which is a fascinating study of two communities that were divided, that are not in Berlin, two smaller towns that were divided by the inner border between West Germany, the Federal Republic, and East Germany. There's other studies about the East-West divide, even beyond East and West Germany. Yulia Komska's Icon Curtain is a good example here that looks at the divide between West Germany and Czechoslovakia. So there are a number of studies kind of focused on the border, which always comes up when we're thinking of GDR history. But we want to think about how Ned Richardson-Little's book also takes that and puts that in an international context at the same time, thereby connecting with other kind of works about the GDR. Quinn Slobodian's edited collection of excellent essays on the GDR in a transnational context, Comrades of Color, is one that I would recommend here for the international view, and so on. So there's a lot we can say about the GDR historiographically in terms of the way that it's been represented. But what I want to think about here, and the way that it connects to other themes of the module, Tiffany Florville's Mobilizing Black Germany is a book that's just coming out. I haven't read it yet. I will probably have read it by the time we meet. Which connects themes of activism to the history of East Germany and West Germany in the era of the fall of the Berlin Wall. I'm looking very forward to that book myself. So the point here is there's a lot of ways we can think about this work in connection to the history of the GDR. What we want to do is to do that and think more broadly about the GDR history, the works that we're reading in terms of broader trends in historiography, broader trends of thinking about the Cold War. So here's the last two things I'll say then. We might want to think about Ned Richardson-Little's book in terms of the transnational turn in the historiography of the Cold War. Seems almost redundant to say because the Cold War is itself already, of course, a transnational phenomenon. There was never a time at which that wasn't understood, but there has been a more thoroughgoing transnationalization of the Cold War in the historiography. And I won't say more about that. That's something I think that you might want to take up in class, and we'll talk about it there. And then with Tom and Fleischman's work, and he has this essay, but he also has this book, which with an amazing title, Communist Pigs. And we're going to want to think about how environmental history and the history of the Cold War have connected. These have been, not just streams of historiography, but entire fields, really. But their points of connection have been relatively fleeting. Of course, our other teacher in this class, Frank, has more to say, more knowledge than me, and would have stuff to say about this as well. But the points of connection between the field of Cold War studies and environmental history haven't been as great as they might have been, and Thomas Fleischman's work is getting us to think anew about that, or getting us to think in new ways about those connections. So let's think about environmental history as well as transnational history as we think about the GDR and as we think about the Cold War in the larger sense. Okay, this little introduction is already longer than I thought it was going to be. I was hoping it'd be more like 5 minutes, which I'll try to keep it to next time. So welcome to the week. Enjoy the reading. I will see you in class, or for the distance learning students, I guess, on the discussion boards. And I look really forward to hearing your takes on these two works. Okay, see you later.